Hi, my name is Joshua Large, and I'm the creator of the Mississippi Bubble Game. I'm a professor of international relations in the International Business Department at EAFIT University in Medellin, Colombia. This is a game that I created for my students, undergraduates in the International Business Department at EAFIT University for a class on the history of international relations, which is really a course on the history of international business. So we look at the development of international capitalist institutions, the formation of essentially the international capitalist system based on capitalist states, etc. And this particular game basically simulates a financial bubble that occurred in early 18th century France around the creation of a company that tried to basically find lots of gold and silver in a big portion of what's now the United States and failed to do so, but in the meantime generated a huge financial bubble with people buying up all these shares and a massive frenzy surrounding this company for a while until it all came crashing down. So in this game, the students participate in auctions, they buy shares, there's lots of chaos, lots of confusion in the game. It's played in a big open room with up to 120 or even 140 players sometimes in teams, usually around 6 players per team. They buy these shares, they kind of often don't know what to do because another kind of interesting thing about this game is that we try to simulate the chaos and confusion of these financial bubbles by not telling the students exactly what the object of the game is, except telling them that if they really want to win the game, they should study the historical case. So what happens at the end of the game, which is played in turns, is that pieces of news which are given every 4.5 minutes, which start out really positive and induce them to buy these shares, eventually get worse and worse, until finally the company and the bank, which is where they get the money that they need through loans, for instance, to buy the shares, this all collapses. And in the end, they're not left with anything except if they've been wise enough to buy gold, because gold is the only thing at the end of the game that holds its value, as was indeed the case in this historical situation. So if they've studied the case, they kind of know the significance of gold in the game. But if they haven't, they tend to be lost. And that's okay. Actually, the game kind of relies on a certain degree of ignorance, as any financial bubble relies on ignorance. But after this all is concluded, we have a discussion where we talk about what this means in terms of the history of financial bubbles, how they developed, why they developed, what this has in common with contemporary financial bubbles, why, in fact, financial bubbles, as we eventually discuss in the course, are increasingly prevalent in today's world. We talk about what the implications of this are in terms of capitalism. In France, for instance, this had immensely deleterious effects. So we discuss all this stuff, and hopefully the students learn a lot about how this all works and what this means for the history of capitalism.